Perfect. And I don't know that I can turn yeah, there we go. Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name's Matt Novello, and I'm an HVAC product manager here at APR Supply. Thanks for tuning in this morning. We're going to discuss this A2L transition, specifically to Heil, where we're at with it, and what the new equipment lineup looks like. So let's get started. Let's see here. Okay, so how did we get here? We're going to briefly discuss the AIM Act, the refrigerant changes, and then more importantly, we're going to get into the residential equipment updates and lineup, as well as commercial. So here's how we got here. The AIM Act, the American Innovation and Manufacturing Act, essentially authorizes the EPA to reduce the production and consumption of HFCs or R410A by 15% of baseline by 2036. And they're going to do this in three ways. Obviously, as we see right now, we're in the phase down of HFCs, the phase down of 410, managing these HFCs, then facilitating the transition to the next refrigerants. And all of this mirrors the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. So the amendment aims to reduce HFCs by 80 to 85% come 2047. This was adopted in 2016 by 197 countries led by the United States. And the goal of this is to avoid an up to 0.5 degrees Celsius or 32-degree rise in global temperatures by 2100. So essentially, the AIM Act is mirroring the Kigali Amendment, allowing the EPA to do this throughout the United States. So all states are doing the same thing. All of these new refrigerants, the A2Ls, which are R454B and R32, have to comply with a global warming potential limit of under 700. And all these A2Ls and all this new equipment that's going to be produced starting January 1st of 2025 must comply by this. So come January 1st of this coming year, no more manufacturers will be making 410. And really, what is global warming potential? Well, it just refers to the measure of how destructive a climate pollutant is. Hard to see, but on the bottom left there, we can see that basically carbon dioxide is a 1 and ammonia is a 0. So when we look at 410, it's 2088. So based on global warming potential, 410 is pretty harmful. And essentially what that means is this refrigerant that we're currently using, R410A, could escape into the atmosphere and essentially help warm our globe, which is not good. This chart here shows this phase down of R410A. So in 2024, we're only making 60% of the R410A that we're used to. And as you can see, as we move more towards the right, as we get further along here, less and less R410A is going to be produced, likely to see prices go up, and obviously harder to get parts and pieces as we go. When we look at the history of refrigerants, R22 really came about in about the 1930s in commercial refrigerators, then in the 50s for household freezers, and then eventually as an R12 replacement. R410A, the Carrier Corporation, who makes Heil, they produced their first R410A air conditioner in 1996. And then from the early 2000s through now, R410A has been the standard. And as you can see, R410A had no ozone depletion potential. However, it was high in global warming potential. The new A2Ls are low in GWP and no ozone depletion potential. Some of you might have heard these new refrigerants are flammable. So let's look at what that really means. And if we check flammability properties and we look at refrigerants versus gasoline, you can see this is actually, this chart really outlines this nicely. R454B, which is what Heil is going with, has a burn rate of less than 5 centimeters a second. 5 centimeters is 1.9 inches. I was recently at a conference where they showed an example. They showed a live video of a hotel room. This was obviously in a lab. They had a PTAC style unit that leaked 454B into the room. It was just basically a hole in a foil leaking. They had a candle in the room which tipped over into this 454B stream. You saw a light sputter of a flame and then it went out. So really this stuff is not going to explode. It's not even close to as flammable as a gasoline or a heating fuel. It's not a whole lot different than what we saw with 410. So with Heil, how are we going to do this? Well, active dissipation system components, and this is all going to start with the coil, whether you're doing an air handler or a furnace coil. All of the stuff needed to comply with A2L refrigerants is going to be made into the coil. And this is, if you look at the top right there, that is actually a new V coil. It's a picture of one installed. It shows the board kind of mounted on the wall there. We'll get into that more. But essentially, UL code requires a dissipation system to be triggered at a lower flammability rate of 40%. ICP's dissipation systems will be triggered at an LFL of 20%, so above industry standard. And essentially, this dissipation system is going to cut off the outdoor unit. Let's say it's, on a cooling call. It's going to cut off the outdoor unit and it's going to run the fan only until it dissipates that refrigerant less than 20% of what the sensor is sensing, and then the condenser will come back on. And if it's a heat pump, it'll do the same thing. Turn off the heat, run the fan. It's going to dissipate all that refrigerant and then come back on. So what do we see with design changes? Again, we kind of went over all of this is in the coil. We're going to have dissipation boards in the coil. We're going to have leak sensors in the coil. If you're doing a furnace coil, it's going to come essentially within that coil with a board on the outside. If you're doing an air handler, it's all built in. All of the Heil 454B products are going to have straight stub outs. So coils and outdoor units are going to be basically sent to you all in the field, ready for mechanical connection. The same goes for the filter dryer. To get this new refrigerant to work, obviously we have new TXVs, and you're going to see red markings on our 454B service ports. So let's get into what this is going to look like in the field. What kind of options are we going to have available for equipment? So furnace coils. One big thing to note here is everyone has probably used the END 4X coil in the past. That was the N coil. We still have them. We still have some on order. Those will not be produced for 454B. So we will be moving to just V coils, which we've been using for some time now, about 2 years, and A coils. A coils have been around. We stock the EAM 4X multi-position A coil. We will transition all of that demand to the EAM 5X. So that'll be a 454B multi-position A coil. When we look at the V coils, we'll have the EVD 5X and the EVM 5X, the multi-position V coil. Again, these coils are going to come with factory installed refrigerant sensors and wire harnesses. You're also going to have a box within that coil that has the dissipation board and the power harness. So essentially, you're going to mount this coil like you normally do. You're going to have a small board that comes with it, about an 8-foot power cord. All of your low voltage connections, rather than landing those, let's say in the furnace cabinet, are now going to land onto this board. And then you'll have a pigtail of wires go from the board to the furnace cabinet. So your thermostat, your condenser, the low voltage side of those are going to wire to this board. When we look at air handlers, not much has changed in what is available. We'll still have a baseline similar to the FJMA4. It'll be an FHMA5. We will have a variable speed non-communicating with the FTMA series. And then we will have an ion series communicating air handler with the FCMA5. The FTMA5 and the FCMA5 will be a 2-piece air handler in the 3, 4, and 5 ton sizes. Multifamily, the smaller fan coils for project work, we still have access to those. Really not going to be a lot of change here. Still going to have a few options with PSC motors and then some options with ECM motors. Again, all this is built in as it's an air handler. We don't stock a ton of this. We order these for projects based on what you all need in the field. This is where we get into some changes. Let's look at air conditioners. So we've always had a couple different ways to offer good, better, best with Heil. We'll start from the bottom up in this roadmap, but looking at 3-phase, we do sell a lot of N4A3 3-phase condensers right now. They are going to get an efficiency bump, and they're going to be rated for up to 16 SEER. So the new 3-phase product that we'll start getting in next year is going to be a higher rated product. We're still going to have a base level R series. So right now we stock the R4A4S. That's a Northern compliant product, and we will have the R5A4S. Moving into the N series, we will still have 3 tiers of N series. So we'll have the N5A4S, N5A5S, and the N5A8T. You'll see with the two-stage product, they're now up to 18 SEER. So we got a slight efficiency bump with the two-stage product. Moving into the Ion series, again, very similar to the old lineup, a single stage 16.5 CR2, a two-stage up to 18 CR2, and now we will have a true variable speed inverter, the H5A1V. We're going to see 25 to 100% capacity ranges, and only 2 wires are needed for the outdoor unit. This is pretty exciting for us. So the HVA9 that we had before was a 5-stage, and that will be phased out with these new refrigerants. So again, talking about that lineup of good, better, best, we have it 2 different ways. If we look at the performance series, we have 2 levels of a single stage, and then we have a 2-stage with the N5A8T. When we look at the Ion series, same thing. We'll have a single stage 16 CR2, a 2-stage 18 CR2, and now the full variable speed product. When you look at that bottom line there, 25C compliant, right now we don't have all the ratings for the H5A1V. So don't let that fool you or scare you. We will have 25C matches there. It's just not all rated. We don't have all the AHRI data yet. I'll also say, look at the performance series on the top right there. Looks like we have a new thermostat available. We'll get into that. Heat pumps, again, we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up here. Let's look at 3-phase heat pumps. Again, right now, we were using the N4H4 product. We did have access to a 16 SEER 3-phase in the past that we didn't really sell a lot of, but that's now going to be the new baseline. The N5H5S will be a up to 16 SEER 2 single stage product. We're also going to have access to a 2-stage up to 18 SEER 2 3-phase product. So that's an addition to the lineup. Moving up from there, we'll still have a base point 14-ish SEER2 R5H5S. And then when we get into that performance series, again, 3 options, good, better, best. We'll have a single stage up to 16 SEER2 at the N5H5S. We'll have a 2-stage N5H8T. And then we'll talk about the side discharge here in a minute, but we currently have a DLCU side discharge product in stock in 410A. We stock the ABK model, which has a base plate heater, and there's now going to be 2 options with that. Not sure we're going to stock both options, but that could be kind of your higher end offering in that performance series as we move forward. So again, they're going to broaden that side discharge product and give kind of 2 levels there. That is not a mini split product. It is a standard ducted product. And if you haven't seen those yet, feel free to reach out to your APR salesperson. We'd love to talk to you about it. When we get into the Ion series, this is where we see some more changes. So we'll still have a 16 SEER2 single stage, an H5H6S. We'll have a 2-stage H5H8T. And new to us in 454B, there's going to be 2 different inverters. So you see there the H5H0V and the H5H3V. Both of these new inverter heat pumps are variable speed. They're not a 5-stage like the old HVH8. Capacity ranges 20 to 100%. Only 2 control wires are needed to the outdoor unit. And again, this is really exciting for us. We have a lot of different options that'll hit 25C. Some of these ratings that I was able to see already, we have a lot of dual fuel ratings that hit 25C, so this is exciting. And when we look at the H5H0V, this one's up to 20 SEER2, heating operating down to negative 11 degrees. We're going to see this comes with new defrost algorithms, and this is where you'll use the standard Ion, the black Ion thermostat. There is a connected portal, so there's more to come with what you guys can see through this connected portal as a contractor, what you can see for your homeowners. More to come on that. If we look at the H5, H3V, this one's up to 23 CO2. And the big thing here is heating operating down to negative 15 degrees. So these will work at 80% of heating capacity at 5 degrees outdoor. This is really exciting. This thing performs well. Similar to the other one we looked at, um, this one will also be able to connect to this connected portal. Again, there's going to be more to come on that, but essentially you're going to have more access to see what systems are doing in the home for your customers. And when we look at the lineup, how you can go to market with this, how you can sell this, we still, again, in the performance series, we have single stage product. We have the N5H8T two-stage. Again, that side discharge DL unit could fit in that performance series as well. And moving to the Ion series, again, the addition of these two variable speed inverters, still have the two-stage product in the H5, H8T, and a single stage H5, H6S. So again, you see in the top right corner there, looks like a new thermostat, and it is. We now have in stock the Ion Gray Smart Thermostat, and this is pretty neat. So this is a Wi-Fi thermostat. It's 2-year warranty out of the box, 5-year when registered, 2 heat, 2 cool conventional, 3 heat, 2 cool heat pump, smart home ready. A couple other cool things about this thermostat is it's magnetized to the backplate, and it does come with a little wall trim piece. So whatever thermostat you're taking off, hopefully this would cover that. I actually have one of these in my house, and I like it. It's pretty cool. It's you walk up to it. If you're just looking at it across the room, it's blank. But as you walk up to it, it lights up a little bit. If it's on a cooling call, the outside edge of the thermostat flashes in blue. If it's on a heating call, the outside edge of the thermostat flashes in like an orange color. And you can set programs through the app. It's the same Ion Home app that you use for the Ion Black. So these are in stock, ready to go. These are not for the communicating products, though. These are going to be more for your performance series. Small pack products, really not a lot of changes here. As you can see, what we had available on R410A is going to be available in 454B. Some big movers for us, the mobile home, the manufactured housing products, the PAJ4 and the PHJ heat pump model. We move a lot of those. They're a shorter footprint manufactured home product. We'll still have those. They're just getting a model number update, and they are going to have all of this dissipation system built in. Again, when we get into that more medium chassis, like the PGD4, we're still going to have access to those. And over here on the left side of your screen, this is actually a snapshot from the installation manual. This kind of shows where the refrigerant detection sensors are. There's an extra board in there. Again, nothing really different you'll see in the field as far as installing these. And again, we have these available in the ultra low NOx models. This is again another snapshot from the installation manual, which just explains that if this thing senses a leak, it's going to turn everything off except for the fan, and it's going to run the fan to dissipate that leak. So here at APR, we worked with Heil directly. Every week we had inventory calls and we discussed these charts right here. This is a tricky time for us in the industry because two things. Number one is manufacturers can't make 410 units after the start of next year, January 1st of 2025. No more production of R410 units. And there is an installation ban for residential units starting January 1st of 2026. So we really had to time this thing right. This is an example of their residential phase-in, phase-out summary. This one was as of 9/16, and I'm going to jump around here because as I was putting this presentation together, on 10/15, we got another one. So Heil's been very open with their communication to us. They have phased in kind of one-by-one approach throughout these series. Here at APR, what we did was looked at our on-hand inventory. We essentially ordered enough to get us through the phase-in plus 6 more weeks to allow for the potential of shipping issues or things like that. You might even notice some of the products we currently have in stock in 410. We have more than that. We have more to get us past that transition. But really, as you can see, come March of next year or the end of Q1, we're only going to be getting the 454B products coming from Heil. Light commercial. So again, commercial is changing as well. There is a 3-year sell-through for commercial, which makes it a little easier on us. But all of the same things we talked about in the residential side of things are happening with commercial too. So this is a snapshot I took from a webinar we sat on recently, but very similar to the what we saw with residential. The product offering really isn't changing too much. So the R series, big movers for APR here in the commercial world, RGV, RAV, RHV, essentially our 14 SEER gas packer, gas electric units. They're still going to be available, just a slight model number change. They'll now be in RGF, RAF, and RHF. If we look at the higher efficiency models on the bottom of this chart, the RGW, RAW, RHW, again, those are still going to be available. They're up to 16 SEER. They will be the RGG, RAG, and RHG. So not a lot of changes here to what's going to be available as far as performance, just some model number changes, and we'll help with that along the way. So again, this kind of outlines design is very similar. New TXVs and new compressors, obviously, for the new refrigerants, and the dissipation systems are going to be all built in. This is an example of model number changes. So an RGV 036 was a very big mover here for us at APR Supply. The new 454B version will be an RGF 036. So again, we'll just get used to some new model numbers, but we're going to have the same things available. And again, here's another common model, an RGW 072 will now be an RGG 072. So commercial split systems will be changing as well. We were currently used to the CAS and the CHS outdoor units and the FAX and FAS air handler units. Those model numbers are changing. We're now going to have CAL or CHL condensers, FAL and FHL air handlers. Again, not a ton of changes here. New compressors, new TXVs. These dissipation systems will be built into these as well. The biggest change, I would say, is bottom right there, that line. New hot gas reheat options will be available in the 072 to 120 sizes. So we're really excited for that. And I wanted to thank you. But before I thank you, I have one other thing to show you all. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and pull something else up to discuss kind of how we are transitioning. So bear with me a second here. Okay. So again, as I spoke about earlier, this phase in, phase out, there was a lot of energy, a lot of people here at APR, a lot of people at Heil. We met regularly and discussed how this should look. We looked at SKU by SKU to make sure we didn't run out of product the best we could. And as we phased into the new stuff, we obviously had to do this very strategically. So Austin Hayes here at APR, very smart guy, put this together for us. And essentially, this is that roadmap showing live inventory, and it's showing what we have available, what's on PO, what it transitions to in the 454B model, and kind of, where we're at with it right now, what's available, what's on PO. So as I scroll down, we're looking at air conditioners now, and you can see we're pretty well loaded up on our 410A product as it sits right now. We have more on order, right? Our last orders are starting to come in. When we get over to heat pumps, same thing. A lot of 410 still in the barn. As we're getting through this 410, we'll start to order the new stuff. But down here in this R and N series heat pump, you can see we're already sitting on some 454B stock. So it's already started to come in. Um, Same for air handlers. You can see we have a lot of the 410 air handlers still available. Some of the entry level 454B product is starting to come in, and coils again. So END coils are discontinued, but you can see our V coils, a lot of inventory, a lot still on PO. We're getting, I think, 3 more large orders of Heil between now and the end of the year with 410 product, and we are starting to trickle in this 454B product. So I show you this because I think as we move forward, we're going to figure a way. This is actually a live working document. So as us APR people get into it, it actually updates daily with POs and what's available. And we're going to share this with you all in some way. It might have to be just a hard copy or, a one-page screenshot type thing that we send out every week or bi-weekly, but we want to do our best to make sure you all know kind of where we're at and what we have. So more to come on that, probably from your salesperson or from your inside salesperson. Does anybody have any questions? I went through that. I think you're all going to get a little extra time back in your day, but be happy to take on some questions here.
Matt, I don't know if you saw Josh put a question in the chat. He said, since the end coil will no longer be produced, do we have to pair heat pump furnace coil dual fuel combinations with the A coil?
Yeah, good question. So with the current 410 product, you'll actually see that they have really upped the ratings for V coils with heat pumps in those dual fuel applications. So if you don't see a V coil rating, then you will likely find an A coil rating. And when we look at warranties, because a coil is considered a part, right? So if you have a coil fail right now, an indoor coil, you get a new coil as a replacement. The inside sales team here at APR actually has an internal Heil website that'll show, hey, if that END coil is not available anymore, this is your new mat, this is your new coil, and it's likely a V coil. So if you have troubles finding a match, reach out to me because the AHRI sites are a little tricky right now with what they're considering active or discontinued. But you're going to be able to find a different coil to replace the end coil.
I have a few questions for you, Matt.
Sure.
All right. So I'm getting questions from customers asking, should we replace now or should we wait until all this new equipment comes out? What do you suggest?
So that's a great question because it depends. If we look at the efficiencies and what's available, maybe that would sway somebody. Meaning this, if you have a customer who's not down and out and they really want an inverter, and they can wait, you're obviously going to have a more high-end option in an inverter here in the next, say, 6 months. If somebody's system is broken, I don't know that it makes sense to just patch it along until a 454B model becomes available. There's, going to be a price increase to go to the 454B models. 410 parts and components are still going to be made and still be available. I know we saw that phase down graph of 410. However, as you guys have probably all seen, 410 prices, and I don't know where it's at right now, so I might misspeak a little here, but this year we all thought they were going to skyrocket and they really didn't. So there was more 410 storage than maybe we all thought that was out and available. When we look at, again, if you're looking at someone that's just thinking, I want the newest refrigerant because it'll last longer, I would say it depends on where they're at with their system. If you're going out there every week and charging it.
I guess the question, obviously the newer stuff's going to be more efficient, obviously more expensive. I guess the question was more, being supported for parts and availability, moving forward. So I think that's the bigger question.
Okay. So the manufacturers have every intention to support what's currently out there and what, all this 410 that we currently have and are getting in. Their intentions are to support that product. So parts and pieces are still going to be made. Coils are still going to be made for replacement parts. Where this is a little fuzzy right now is There was initially, a few months back, maybe at our dealer meetings, if you remember, there was the talk that we could replace just a piece, like, oh, the condenser fails in a year and a half. If we still have it, you can replace it. That's kind of getting tripped up right now by regulations. However, parts will be available, yes.
Okay, will there be more discussion on that particular thing you just brought up about regulations? Because I was under the impression too at that meeting that you could just replace a part. So I guess
Mhm.
once something officially comes out, we'll have another, in regards to that, or is there something
Yeah.
now?
I can discuss that a little bit. So if we look at more specifically to the outdoor unit, so coils, that's a little different. Like a furnace coil, if let's just say 8 months from now, Heil's not making a 410 coil anymore, we'll still have access to order those. We don't have a hard date on when 410 coils will be stopped for production for service parts. The trickier one's an outdoor unit. So there's now this term being thrown around, outdoor unit with no match. And essentially what is being asked of by the EPA, by regulators. They're telling manufacturers your outdoor unit has to rate a certain way with just a generic coil, and this is like new stuff that just came out. Unfortunately, it's very hard for manufacturers to do that, and I don't know that you're going to see somebody tool up to make this 410 outdoor unit that would actually match a generic coil with no furnace. As we get more clarity on that, we'll let everybody know. But again, that was a change that happened literally just this fall, since probably the end of August.
All right, and I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but two more easy
Yeah.
questions. Does the new refrigerant, does it have an odor like propane, or is it odorless?
Oh, that's a good question. I honestly don't know, so I'll have to look into that and get back to you.
Okay, and
I don't. Go ahead.
are there trifolds available to us yet for the what's being phased out, the new equipment model numbers?
So we can send out with this, some of the snapshots you saw there where I was going through what's replacing what. We do have digital PDF roadmaps for the whole lineup.
Okay, but no hard copies like that Kevin has in his office.
I don't think Kevin has a hard copy.
Okay,
We would just have it as like
I
a
got you.
downloadable PDF.
All right, because it is nice having like from the previous models to what we currently have. There was that trifold to see, it kind of discussed what phased out and what's available now, to have in like my bag or something.
Well, I'll see if they're available for us to order yet. We just got that roadmap, like I was discussing. We just got that 2 weeks ago, the what to what roadmap. So I don't have them as a hard copy. It just says like it's something I can email you.
Good deal. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah. I see Tom has a hand up. I don't know who Tom is though.
This is Tom.
Hey, Tom.
That kind of answered some of my questions right there, the last conversation. But you said March 2025, you'll only be getting R54 products. How long do you think the 410 products are going to last after that?
Yeah, good question. So when we did all of this, we had some last call order dates. We looked SKU by SKU and we went essentially to where the phase in would happen, and we added 6 weeks. But where this would get a little different, like for example, some of the maybe entry point R series product or N series product, we ordered a little heavy on. So as you get above that product into maybe the higher end offering, it's going to depend SKU by SKU. Some stuff were heavy, some stuff were not. I think it's safe to say that the lower end product will get us, probably more into like June of next year. I know it's going to be that when I went over that Excel file, the reason we want to kind of start getting that out to everybody is because depending on what sells, that'll obviously dictate what happens here. But we did order 410 and we accounted for the growth that we have with you all. And again, we're going to move a little past that transition date in case there's hiccups. I will also tell you this, that transition date of March, that's actually pulled in a little bit since we even started this. So we were initially ordering to get us more into like June, May, June. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yes. And then,
okay.
So we all know that the price of 410A is going to go up. I mean, what do you realistically think? Like, because I've heard a lot of different things. I heard that it's not going to really go up because we have plenty of product to make it. But then I've heard
Yeah.
people say it's going to skyrocket. What do you realistically think is going to happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I'm honest with you, Tom, I'm not quite sure myself because we really thought we were going to see 410 prices skyrocket this year, and it didn't. Like you said there, I think all of a sudden realized there was more storage available and there was more of it out there than we thought. So it's hard to say. If I were to guess, I think once we get to where manufacturers are only shipping the new product, and that's what we have for new installs, that's when we might see some funny things happen with 410. But we might even see a synthetic drop in as well. I think it might even already be out there. So,
All right, thank you.
mhm.
Matt, you said you guys did a projection based off of the SKU numbers. What
Yeah.
is that going to be like the 13 SEER? Like, what did you guys order ahead of time? Because I know like the 16 SEER that I typically will, upsell or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was included in that purchase.
It was. So when we did, we went SKU by SKU in every series with every coil and every air handler and every outdoor unit, heat pump and AC. We went to that, phase in time and added 6 weeks. We accounted for an increase in demand as well. So we looked at how our sales are trending and we kept that same cadence. So we didn't shortchange anything on the 410 side. APR's decision was to make sure we had product. And again, I know this isn't going to be perfect, and there could be something within a series that we run out of sooner because of demand swings or things like that. But our intention was to have 410, and not have a hole in that piece until the 454B came in. So
Absolutely.
that includes H series.
And I'm really excited about these new heat pumps, these inverter heat pumps. They sound awesome. I'm sure it's going to be stupid expensive for us to purchase that equipment, but I'm very excited about it. Is there any predictions as far as rebates or anything like that that's going to be rolling out that will certainly help us sell this equipment?
So I don't have any new news on rebates. We still have, as it stands right now, 25C is available. And I think within the next 6 or so months, we will see Pennsylvania gets their state program under control with this Inflation Reduction Act and that large instant rebate that's offered to the homeowner. Also, just recently learned that if you guys as contractors are offering that to a homeowner, there'll be a $500 incentive to you for that job. So outside of just having to discount the ticket right there on the spot, you're going to have you're going to get a little something back as well from the state.
And what is that? What's that best case from the state? Like what for the customer?
Yeah. $8,000 for a qualifying heat pump system. And I think I could misspeak here. I think we have 8 states that are currently off and running with this. I know New York is. So it's being implemented and it's happening. States are awarded their money, their funding, and they're getting it rolling here. So I think in Pennsylvania, we're going to see it. You'll be using this next year.
Awesome. And then can you expand a little bit more on the ion gray? That seems pretty cool. That's not communicating, correct?
Yeah, good. So the ion gray, the only thing you can't use that on would be like the inverter. So as it stands right now, it's a price point ion thermostat. I think the sell price is under $100. You could use it with a single stage or a 2-stage H series if you wanted to. If you were going with like a G97 CMN furnace or, the full communicating air handler, that's not the stat you'd want to use. But if you were doing like a variable speed FTMA air handler in a single stage H series, you could use it, or anything below that, N series and R series, of course. And I think moving forward, we might do another webinar at a different time. This is all kind of just getting rolled out now, but this connected portal is going to give you guys more access to see, if the homeowner allows it, to see your jobs on a portal. So if somebody's getting a nuisance call, you'll have access to their thermostat to see run times and kind of what was happening. So there's going to be some pretty cool dealer benefits to that connected portal. And I think Heil's thought is you'll use a Heil control on everything, whether it's the Ion Black or the Ion Gray, because now they have a thermostat for everything.
Okay, so it could be used for anything with except the communicating stat. So any different setup you can install. Can it do dual fuel and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I believe it does. I'll actually have to check that and get back to you.
Well, you said you had it in your house. You like it so far?
Yeah, I do have it. I have a heat pump in my house and I have it, and I do like it.
Nice.
I would say it's more of in my opinion, more of that, the new generation of home buyers, you know what I mean? It's very simplistic on the wall, and you're using mostly your phone for, the look and feel of it. But,
Right. That looks pretty neat. I'm excited for that as well.
yeah. Okay. Anybody else have questions? All right. I don't think so.
Thank you, Matt, for sharing your expertise. And once the recording, I get it downloaded through the cloud, I can share this with everyone who was attending as well.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day.
Take care.
Thank you.